I saw an update on fuel prices in America, and as of today, March 31st, the average cost for regular fuel, right, 87 fuel is around $4.02. That's average throughout the 50 states. Oklahoma shows the lowest currently at $3.27. Iowa's right after it, and California and Hawaii's at the top of the list of cost. California is around $5.80, $5.90 for regular 87 fuel. So diesel is usually 35 to 50% more than regular fuel per gallon. And this increase shows its top increase since 2022. So last 4 years, kind of at the climax, like pivot down from COVID, so to speak, where gas was high like that. And these are averages, right? So in Oklahoma, right, you could probably find some gas for about $2.99, $3, and you could find some places throughout the state for closer to $4, right? You get your average, right? Maybe $3.80, $3.70. Same with California. You can find gas for maybe $5.25 to $5.50, and there's some places probably spitting around $7 per gallon for regular fuel. And again, diesel is usually more. So for IBOs and wholesale companies, doing cargo, and you're talking about overnight stock for multiple commercial chains and stuff like that. That stuff is being halted, if not delayed, or at least delayed, due to the increased cost and increased competition of fuel, guys. Diesel for a lot, it's going to be running around $8 to $9. I can't imagine that some places are over $9 for diesel, right? So, it's crazy how the Iranian war that's been now in effect after 31 or 32 days has sharpened these prices. And that's going to affect, everyday life, right, for people, right? Going to work, picking up their kids from school, people who do rideshare services, right? So who drive for a living. That's going to be a big effect. And it's crazy that, the Straits of Hormuz, excuse me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, right, has played a pivotal role on maintaining both costs for oil and the resources to get oil or make oil available, around different parts of the world. So not only is America obviously affected, but places like Cambodia, has seen a 58% increase, or 68% increase, on fuel. Vietnam is right behind it at around 50-something percent, 57, 58%. Nigeria, right? So different parts of Africa getting affected. They're around 39% increase. Canada, back on the North American side, is 28%. Europe has seen a steep percentage in the mid to high 30s. So all around the globe, guys, this war, right? The Iranian conflict with the U.S./Israeli military is affecting the globe. It's crazy how so much influence, positive, sure, but also negative, that the U.S. plays in the world, and it could, as much as it could harm people, or as much as it could, help or make life opportunistic, it could harm people who has no dealings with the U.S. or Iran. You know what I'm saying? Like, and oil, something that you need daily, right? Fuel, right? It's it's pivotal, right? This doesn't just affect transportation. It affects people's, you know, ability to cook or maintain household items, right? People cook with gas. You know what I'm saying? So this is a big thing. It's a big thing. And, you know, as always, right, I'm a peaceful, you know, approach first type of guy. But, you know, war has been happening for centuries, you know, centuries, man. So it's just, it's insane, you know, to all those who are heavily affected, you know, the whole thing with the Philippines, right? I think like 3 or 4 days ago, I saw like they're on like a 45-day, you know, I guess lead time before they run out, or, you know, before the shortage gets even more detrimental, you know. So I know Singapore is getting hit. So it's just crazy, guys. It's honestly crazy that, you know, one thing, and it's a global thing. It's, you know, it's not like this little part of the world. Like, these are big entities of the empire of the universe, right? Or of the earth. You know, the earth is a universe in and of itself to me, you know. So it's gonna affect kind of everything. But it's making y'all aware. You know, people say it's 100% on Trump and his administration. You know, I've been seeing everything that's kind of negative. They just blame Trump. You know, I'm not going to be ignorant enough to do that, you know, because he's what? The 48th person, 47th, you know, person who's been running this show, so to speak. But, you know, look who our forefathers have always represented, and look who's always been the best interest. You know what I'm saying? Like, this has been happening since the incorporation of the states, guys. This has been happening. You know, just remember who represents who. You know, so y'all just be aware. I'm just spreading news, and hopefully it can allow people to maneuver correctly.